Hello, everybody. I'm Jim McCotter. Democrat cult targets Christians. It's easy to assume the Democrat Party is nothing more than a political party. But is it really? A group that specifically targets Christians is worse than most religious cults. The group that targeted Jesus in the New Testament, which most Christians don't realize, was a political party called the Pharisees. Most Christians think of Pharisees only as a religious group, but the Pharisees controlled the Sanhedrin, and the Sanhedrin controlled the civil law and government of Judea. Matthew 26:5, John 18:31, Acts 4:3, Acts 5:18, all these scriptures make clear that the Pharisees were the civil leaders in Judea. Moreover, the Pharisee party was always targeting Jesus and trying to catch him for breaking their law. And Jesus declared openly that their father was the devil. John 8:44. And I quote, "For you are the children of your father the devil, and you love to do the evil things he does. He was a murderer from the beginning. He has always hated the truth because there's no truth in him. When he lies, it is consistent with his character, for he is a liar and the father of lies." End quote. We won't take time to recite all the evil things the Democrats, the Pharisees, have promoted, but this one is sufficient. They love to do the evil things he does, a murderer, quote unquote, just as the Democrat Pharisees promote murder of little infants before they get out of their mother's womb. The political Democrat Party that targets Christians today is no different than the political Pharisaic Party that targeted Jesus and his disciples. Under the Obama administration, they targeted Christians and Christianity in many ways. For example, Obama's IRS targeted Christian nonprofit groups seeking their nonprofit status. They indefinitely delayed approving the Christian conservative nonprofit status. There were hours of congressional hearings publicly exposing the Democrat Pharisees' overt unrighteous targeting of conservative Christian groups. Today, the Biden administration also targets Christians and Christianity in many ways. To mention only one, in the new report put out by the American Principles Project, and I quote, "The Biden's Department of Education has now turned the Office of Enforcement on targeting Christian colleges and universities." End quote. According to this report, quote, "Enrollment at faith-based schools grew 82% between 1980 and 2020, about 44% faster than the national average." End quote. The report also revealed that, and I quote, "a secretive office created by the Obama administration in the Department of Education," end quote, which Trump canceled and Democrat Biden revived. The report revealed that Biden's Office of Enforcement that started repeatedly targeting to shut down non-woke universities and colleges, quote, "roughly 70% of the enforcement efforts were made against Christian colleges and career schools," end quote. In 2023, Pharisee Biden increased the budget of the Department of Education's Office of Enforcement by 600%, and this year's increase by another 230%. The report stated, and I quote, "at least 12 Christian colleges have been the target of excessive penalties or banned from receiving federal student aid. By comparison, no Ivy League school has been the recipient of punitive action by the Office of Enforcement," end quote. Vice President Kamala Harris, end quote again, ambushed Corinthian colleges while she was California Attorney General. The Wall Street Journal wrote in 2022, quote, "She began investigating the nonprofit in the 2013 for allegedly misrepresenting job placement rates, but she struggled to support her claims. The Education Department rode to her rescue for making exhaustive document demands," end quote. The journal continued, quote, Obama administration officials then complained the college wasn't producing documents fast enough, and the education department cut off federal student aid. This drove Corinthian into bankruptcy and stranded tens of thousands of Corinthian students, end quote. APP Policy Director John Shewip, he wrote, and I quote, "The Office of Enforcement has been formed into a weapon to single out and penalize schools that the administration disfavors. Once focused primarily on career colleges, the Department of Education has now turned the Office of Enforcement on Christian colleges and universities, which threaten to have the same disastrous effects," end quote. Two of the largest Christian universities in the United States, Grand Canyon University and Liberty University, the Pharisee Biden Office of Enforcement has been targeting them continually, trying to put them out of business, costing millions of dollars to defend their nonprofit status against the power of the government, the Pharisee Party. It's pretty hard to be able to outspend the government. The main reason I wrote all the above is not to just document how the Democrats are attacking Christians, which most unbiased people have to acknowledge. But the most important reason I have written this is so Republicans, and especially Christians, will realize two things about the Democrat Party. Number one, that the Democrat Party is not just a political party, but also a cult. If you do not know that, you will always be beating the air in trying to fight them. Number two, once you know and believe the Democrat Party is like the political Pharisee party that Jesus and his disciples were fighting, then you can look to how the omniscient Jesus fought against such a political party. This is a spiritual battle. This political war is being fought out on the political playing field. But above the field and high above the grandstands are the coaches that are watching and calling out all the play strategies. We must realize the Democrat Party is being orchestrated by the devil, who Jesus said, quote, only comes to steal, kill, and destroy, John 10:10. The devil and his Pharisee Democrat Party don't just support killing babies in the womb, as the devil agents even tried to kill Jesus right after he was born, and the devil's agent Herod ended up killing all the children in that region under 12 years of age. But the devil and his agents today still try killing facsimile of a Christian nation, Christian schools, or anything Christian. Now, I think most Christians are probably not thinking about the devil's political actions these days. And I don't know if you have ever thought or considered this before yourself, but think about it. Maybe even pray and read the Bible about it. It's all over the Old and New Testament. It's seen in living color with political conflicts in the Old Testament, in Chronicles, Nehemiah, Psalms, and Daniel, to name a few books. And Jesus makes this very clear in the Gospels, as we saw above in John chapter 8. But let me say this. I know some Democrats are very nice people, some much nicer than some Republicans. Even as there were some Pharisees that were godly, Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, who both buried Jesus after he was crucified, John 19:38 through 39. Nonetheless, the political Pharisee party was driven by the devil as they cheered the crucifixion of Jesus, even as the political Democrat Party is driven by the devil, not least of which cheering the crucifixion of millions of preborn babies. Now, having said all the above, should the Republicans and especially Christians openly condemn the top political Democrats as Jesus did the top political Pharisees in his nation? I think so, even as I have in this article. Now see what you think. Here's what Jesus said to the crowds and to the top political Pharisees. Matthew chapter 23, verse 1 through 36. And I quote, Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples. The teachers of the law, which was also their civil law, and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, which was the top civil position. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you, but do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They love the place of honor. At banquets, they love to be greeted with respect. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! Woe to you, blind guides! Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat but swallow a camel. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they're full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisees! First clean the inside of the cup and dish, then the outside also will be clean. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You're like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of bones of dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside you're full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You snakes, you brood of vipers, how will you escape being condemned to hell? End quote. Are you ready to follow Jesus in openly condemning the Democrat cult and their civil leaders as Jesus did the Pharisaic civil leaders? The Pharisees never promoted such grotesque laws as have the Democrats. Sodomy, transsexualism, abortion, murder, etc. Public identity and condemn the demonic Democrat cult, or be culpable by silence.